We continue our working day. Colonel Andriy Lysenko, Presidential Administration spokesman on issues connected to ATO. Good morning, esteemed colleagues. Yesterday, we saw the deterioration of the situation in the front line. Shellings at the positions of the ATO forces from heavy weaponry continues and growing. For the first time during the last 5 weeks, we registered use of the missile Grad systems by illegal criminal groups. In Lugansk direction, mortar, artillery and tank shellings at our positions continue near Stanitsa, Lugansk and Chastya. The enemy brought a lot of heavy weaponry to the line of contact and opens the fire in the dark time of the day. The thermal power plant near Chastya is partially not operating. Also, the fighting is active in Bakhmutskaya highway near Kryakivka of Novodarsky district. Our servicemen repelled the attack of the enemy military grouping. Also, we registered serious provocations of the enemy near Krymsk. In Donetsk direction, the positions behind Svetlodarsk, perimeter of occupied Horlivka, and to the west of Donetsk, there are the regions where the fighting is very active. The enemy continues to hold heavy weaponry at the front line from Horlivka and Selische Holmivske. The enemy shelled from tanks and large caliber guns at our positions to the south from Mykolaiivka Druga. At the section of the front line from Avdiivka to Mariinka, the military actions were conducted all the day. The most difficult situation is near Donetsk circular road, where our positions and peaceful houses were shelled at from Grad systems. The militants are systemically using tanks and artillery. At the section of front from Mariinka to Volnovakha, the peace is preserved. That in Mariupolsky direction, the military actions are taking place to the east from occupied center Telminovo. Yesterday in the morning, the enemy was shelling at our positions near Starognativka and from mortars at our positions near Granitna. In the evening, the militants were twice opening fire near Chelmrmalik from the opposite side of Pavlopilske water reservoir. Also, we registered the violation of Minsk agreements by illegal criminal groups in Shirokino. The militants shelled at the OSCE mission. One of the observers of the mission is wounded. He was provided medical assistance. In the result of that provocation, the forces of ATO near Shirokino are in complete military readiness. The defenders of Ukraine have enough forces to oppose aggressive intentions of the enemy. We request the citizens and mass media not to fall to panic. Mariupol and Shirokino are and will be under the control of Ukrainian army. Information about the exchange of military of the armed forces of Russian Federation, Yerofeev and Alexandrov, is not true. This is the fake and provocation of Russian special services and mass media, which were organized in order to distract attention from the beginning of the court proceeding of Nadia Savchenko. We request our journalists, please check the information and don't rebroadcast the propaganda of the enemy. During the last 24 hours, because of permanent shellings and active military actions, we lost 1 serviceman, 12 were wounded.
Security Service of Ukraine successfully fights against subversives of enemy and spies all over the territory of Ukraine. Special services prevented the effort to create so-called Kirovgrad People's Republic. A group of enemies planned organized protest and fights with local police and distributed anti-Ukrainian propaganda in internet. SBU reacted quickly to that threat, and it doesn't exist anymore. Also, SBU stopped the work of telecommunication systems in Dnipropetrovsk, Volynsk, and Chernivtsi regions, which belonged to militants. And because of special equipment, the militants from Donbass, they had a communication with the curators from Russian special services. And during the search, they found more than 150 units of telecommunication equipment, 17.5 thousand SIM cards of Ukrainian mobile operators, more than 21 units of computer equipment. They found 10 suspects who organized that international communication. In Zaporizhia region, a special source arrested a resident of Donetsk. She exchanged her hryvnia for Russian rubles, and she was caught when she was transporting $1.5 million of Russian rubles in cash. The scheme was organized by the leader of with the nickname Lesha. Financial tricks were done in Zaporizhia, Kherson, Mykolaiv region. And guards arrested one militant on a checkpoint. He was in a bus and had no documents. During the search, they found symbols of DNR, and in his notebook there was some notes, and he was sent to SBU. He was given to SBU. Yesterday in the Ministry of Defense there was a presentation of new samples of a daily special and field uniform for military men, in addition to a new uniform that meets the conditions of the modern war. There is a new epaulets, and in the future Ukrainian army there will be a reform of ranks according to national traditions and to agree with standards of NATO. There is rotation in units of Ukrainian policemen. Half a hundred police from Ternopil went to the east. The majority of them, they were in ATO, and they have good training and practical experience. These guys are provided with everything they needed to do their task, to do their job. 2 days ago to Mariupol port, there was a ship with a humanitarian cargo from Turkey, more than 2 tons of food, hygiene items and clothing will be provided to IDPs. Military of National Guards of Ukraine thanked volunteers who for a year deliver hot food to the friends near Mariupol. They thanked chefs for that, and thanked drivers for being brave. The activists told that if it's necessary they can provide food up to around 1,500 soldiers. Thank you. If there is a question, please ask. No questions. Introduce yourself. Who gave medical assistance to representative OSCE? Who was wounded near Shirokina? Comment such information. The Donbass soldiers and that Maroons who came to replace them in Mariupol, they don't have thermal visors and optics, night optics, which can undermine their efficiency. Is it true? Medical assistance was provided to representative of CE in our Ukrainian hospital, and in the field they provided assistance by Ukrainian soldiers provided that assistance, but then quickly he was delivered to a hospital. As to Marines, the Marines units that replace Donbass battalion, which pulled out from Shirokino according to rotation, doesn't mean that they arrived without anything, because not all of them have arrived, and not everything that is needed has arrived. So they started to do the service, and as to special equipment for the service during the night time, it will be provided to them, so there will be no problem with that. Thank you. Next question. Please introduce yourself. Uninformed agency. Before you, there was a press conference or direct communication from Mariupol on Minsk agreement and buffer area for 30 kilometers. And residents believe that pulling away volunteer battalions from the east of Ukraine is a threat for the city. And because of the not sufficient number of night vision optical devices. Some of them, maybe it makes sense to keep them, at least to fight against reconnaissance groups. What's the situation in M sector with? First of all, we need to calm down the public of Mariupol and also the defense staff that from Shirokino, Ukrainian military men are not leaving Shirokino. They are staying there. We expect to sign a certain agreement to set up a buffers area. It means that heavy weaponry will be pulled out from the separation line 15 kilometers and each side will do that. It means that it will be bilateral. If the enemy doesn't do that, we also will not pull back our weaponry. So, because we monitor the situation and also because we have information about the presence of heavy weaponry, and Ukrainian command made a decision just to create a reserve of rapid force reaction in case of attacks of the enemy. So that's why units that have heavy weaponry, they are not far away, and as a quick march, they will hold back, they will come back to the positions. So the agreement is not signed yet. We will demand it to be signed and to be complied by two parties, and Ukraine is ready for that. With reconnaissance, enemy reconnaissance groups, everything is fine, and the snipers are working there. And with OCE mission, and there was a sniper of the enemy who worked there. Thank you, Colonel. So Ukrainian forces are not leaving Shirokino, only heavy weaponry is pulled out. If we'll try to sign an agreement about the buffer zone, and we'll demand that because this is the main condition to provide security for citizens, including Mariupol. As soon as it is complied with, we'll start pulling out our weaponry less than 100 millimeters. Because we withdrew heavy weaponry. So now we speak about caliber that is less than 100 millimeters. Military men will stay there. I will stay there. They will have light arms, small arms, and machine guns. So there will be they will not have big caliber weapons. Thank you very much. See you tomorrow.